Every Sunday, when Kof went up in the chair with his deep and assured voice, Abina watched him differently. She saw gestures that, in the past, seemed to her to be a sign of humility, but which seemed to her to be calculated. She noticed the way some faithful people looked at him, as if they knew more about him than they wanted to admit. The village of Nyanda made her blind trust. How could she, a simple wife, unmasked without being accused of destroying everyone's faith? The answer appeared to her in the form of an old book of tales that she found in the coffee shop. Inside, numbers that did not match Panza, gifts that disappeared, and names of people who did not even live in the village. Each new element brought her closer to a frightening truth. Kof was not only unfaithful, he seemed to be involved in something much more vast and dangerous. What if she became an obstacle? What if, by discovering too much, her own life was in danger? But Abina was no longer afraid. She had been deceived and humiliated in silence for too long. From now on, only justice kept her standing. Kof's fall was inevitable, and when the time would come, they would make sure that every Nyandao would be a witness. The day of service is coming, and the church is more full than ever. It is not devotion that attracted the crowd, but curiosity and the need for answers. Some are sitting with their arms crossed, their eyes severe. Others are whispering among themselves, impatient to watch the show. Kof is getting on the chair, dressed in his impeccable tunic and his Bible in his hand. His face seems calm, but Abina, standing at the bottom of the room, notices a slight trembling in his hands. She knows he is nervous. She knows he is nervous. With a firm voice, the pastor begins his sermon. He speaks of faith, of the test God has imposed on him, of the enemies who want to see him fall. He quotes verses on the persecution of the righteous and the punishment of the liars. His eloquence is impeccable, and for a moment, doubt settles in the crowd. But suddenly, a voice rises above the murmur. It's Mama Tula. If all this is a lie, then tell us, Pastor, why your trips to Mbeki coincide with the disappearances of the victims. The church falls into complete silence. Kof smiles, but his expression has lost its assurance. An old man from the village stands up and speaks with the authority of the years. We have heard rumors, but we want facts. If you are innocent, show us the church's accounts. The pressure rises and Kof begins to sweat. He tries to answer by other biblical verses, but the people no longer want a sermon. They want proof. Abina, still at the bottom, raises the notebook of accounts she found. She says, with a clear voice. All turn around to look at her. Some are alert, others fix the pastor with a new mistrust. Kof tries to laugh, to minimize the situation, but Abina moves slowly forward, each step a little more. And here are the transactions that link Kof to Mbeki's merchants, where he spent more money in luxury than in aid to our people. A glacial silence falls on the room. Then, little by little, a murmur rises, similar to the rumbling of a storm about to break. The blind faith wavers, and those who defended it begin to doubt. But his voice is no longer the same weight. It's a trap, a conspiracy against me. But the evidence is by the middle Selim. The ancients examine the notebook and slowly acquiesce me. You betrayed us, says one of them, the trembling voice. Then someone else gets up. It's a young man from the heart. I saw him in Ambaki with my own eyes. He confesses. He did not preach. He drank and played. The scandal erupts, screams, accusations. The crowd rises from their seats. Kof retreats, seeking an exit, but there is no more escape. Abinal observes with a mixture of pain and determination. For years, she had been her shadow, her silent support. But it's over. The crowd moves forward, demanding justice. Kof tries to flee, but the doors of the church shut abruptly. The storm that created it itself fell on him, and now no refuge can save him. Chaos takes over the church. The whispers become screams, the questions of accusations, the indignation of fury. Some faithful get up from their seats and advance with a firm step towards the hotel. his back hitting the flesh. "Give us back our money," shouts a man from the back. A woman bursts into tears. "I sold my fabrics to make a donation to this church, and you spent it pleasing Mr. Becky." Koff raises his hands in an attempt to appease the crowd, but no one listens to him anymore. The evidence is there, the lies have been exposed, and the people don't want any more sermons. He wants justice. Abina, wired by the weight of years of deception, takes a step forward. His voice, shut but full of emotions, echoes above the tumult. "You taught us to trust you, Kof. You made us believe that you were a man of God, but you were only a wolf disguised as a lamb." The silence returns, heavy and oppressive. Kof tries to speak, but his lips tremble. For the first time, his charisma serves him no purpose. For the first time, no one can save him. An old man approaches with a notebook in his hand and lets him fall at the foot of the pastor. "You have one last chance, Kof. Admit the truth." Sweat flows on his forehead. His gaze is sweeping the room, looking for an exit, an escape. But they only find tough, betrayed, furious faces. Then, the sound of the footsteps is heard outside the church. Several men from the village are going to search the pastor's house. They come back with chests, luxurious clothes, bottles of imported alcohol. One of them has a ticket. The crowd explodes. "He stole us. He cheated us. This man is not a pastor. He is a thief." Kof, his mask is off. No more speech, no more lies to support. And at this moment, he knows that his empire of faith has collapsed forever. The people's anger overflows, but it is Abina who raises his hand and demands silence. His voice, shut like a sentence, resonates in the church. "We do not need revenge. We have already unmasked him. Now, let him bear the weight of his own shame." Kof, the lost gaze, steps back. For the first time, he feels small in front of those who have manipulated him for years. Without a single friend to defend him, without the power of his words to save him, he has only one option: run. He runs outside the temple and disappears into the darkness of the night, while his legacy of lies is crumbling behind him. The ancients, with a solemn gesture, order the purification of the church. They remove the portraits of the pastor, return the stolen goods, and dedicate the night to prayer. It is not only a physical cleaning, but also spiritual, because true faith does not rely on men, but on the truth, and Nyanda will never be deceived by appearances. The next day, the sun shines with a new shine. The people gather, not to talk about Kof, but to decide on his future without him. And among them, a lesson remains engraved in their hearts. Even the most eloquent voice can lie, but the truth always finds its way to the light. Subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and like the video.